Excellent.
So thank you, Diana. Thank you, Gary. For those of you that are listening live, you've been having us have a bit of a 5-minute chat before we get started, and it was full of gems. So we are recording now, and we'll make sure that we cover that again. Ray started as an entrepreneur at 6 years old. Now, I want to give Ray a proper introduction because he's such an incredible asset and gem for our global community. As I said last time we were together on this call, he just basically says anytime he wants to be here with us to assist us to achieve our goals with Manitech and be the best that we possibly can. So Ray Robbins is known as the Road Warrior. He travels the world worldwide to support, train, and inspire associates and champion the Manitech brand. Ray is from Flower Mound, Texas. With over 40 years of sales and marketing experience, Ray is an industry leader. He's spoken and led teams worldwide and helped thousands achieve greater successes in business and life. He has a BS in biology and chemistry and served in the military flying helicopters in Vietnam, where he earned the rank of major. Ray is an active member in his community, and he received the Chamber of Commerce Entrepreneur of the Year Award and has a real heart for children and our mission 5 million. The North American Giving Spirit Award is named in his honor, which says it all, doesn't it? As co-founder of Manitech and previous member of the Manitech's board of directors, Ray is indeed positioned to be of the highest support to associates. He carries the heart of Manitech on his sleeve, and he has helped thousands of associates passionately build their partnership with Manitech worldwide. He's recently published a book, Get a Grip. He's recently been interviewed by global entrepreneur Richard Bliss Brooke, which we'll be discussing today. And Ray, you're here with us, ready to get going. I know you've been coaching since you've been on this call for 10, 15 minutes now, so we need to share that with everybody here today.
It is a pleasure to be with you, Sharon, and I think that probably no one in the world has been as consistent as you with regular leadership calls available on a regular basis. And so I thank you for doing that. I get to be on many calls like this all over the world, and none of them have been more regular, more long running, more consistent than yours. So thank you very much. You've been a great treasure to people that care about building their businesses with Manitech.
Thank you, Ray. And I'm partnered with some great people with the same passion. And as I always say, yes, one of my highest values is contribution, but it's also selfish. I love it. I'm inspired, and it helps me. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
I noticed Gary there a minute ago, and it made me think of when I was getting in front of the camera before you got on, and my wife turned a light off that was above me because she said, it made me look bald. And I said, well, it'll just make me look like Gary. So that's okay. So, Gary, I could turn that bright light on behind me, and you and I could look like twins.
Dear, thank you.
You look good, Gary. I do. My hair has gotten so white now that it might as well be bald.
You're very distinguished, Ray. So are you, Gary.
Thanks. You too, Gary. You too, Sharon.
Yeah, distinguished. I don't know if girls like that one.
That's a word that kind of happens to us as we get older. All of us.
It does.
Start calling us distinguished. What they're trying to say is that we can tell that you've got a few years on you, but we want to be real nice about telling you.
That's exactly right. So Ray, let's go back to what you were saying before I semi-rudely interrupted you. So you recently had the opportunity to be interviewed by Richard Bliss Brooke, and it was only 2 days ago, and it was and it's going viral, and it was an awesome experience for you.
Exposure has been amazing. I'm very, very happy about it, and I think part of it is self-serving because I feel like I did a very good job of capturing the imagination of an awful lot of people. I've gotten a number of responses from people that have been in the industry for a long time. But what I was telling Sharon a minute ago is that it occurred to me today. I was sitting at a Mexican restaurant waiting for some friends to join me for lunch. And it occurred to me that there's a handful of people that I would love to have be part of Manitech. Some of them I've worked on being part of Manitech for quite some time. And I just thought, I'm going to send this interview to them and see if it makes any difference. So I sent the link to about 8 people, and before the lunch was over, I got responses from 3 of those people that said that they had watched the interview and it was the most interesting thing that they had come in their lives in weeks or months. One of them happens to be a son of one of my sisters, who I think has got the capability to do real well in this business, and he has just poo-pooed everything I've said for a number of years. And after watching that interview, he said, I'm going to do Manatech. I'm sorry that I have not heard what you have, not paid attention to you over all these years. There's something wrong with me. I know that I've messed up and I've passed up a ridiculous opportunity. And I sent back, no, you have not. It was just your timing. It's okay. And we will get you going. And I'm going to be so excited about lifting up that son of my sister's. I love him. And I've often wondered, why in the world am I not reaching that person? Well, we don't reach everybody. Some people just don't get it. On the interview with Richard Brooks, I said a number of things that he thought was very humorous. He told me it was one of the most humorous interviews he's ever had. And I said, you know, when you get into this business, you have this feeling that there's an awful lot of people that love and respect you, and they're just going to clamor to get involved with your business. And they don't do that. They don't even get involved with your product. You're so excited about what the product's done in your life, and you're excited about what the opportunity can do. And you find out that those people don't respect you as much as you thought. I told them, I think that many times we think that we have this big circle of influence, and we find out that it's just a circle. There's no influence in it. And that's one reason why I strongly recommend using third parties all the time. It's like if you're out there trying to tell somebody about the benefits of this industry and you're trying to do it all by yourself, then you're going to have more difficulty than if you got your upline involved, or if you had somebody watch that interview that I just did, or you get somebody to read the book, Get a Grip, that I just did, or if you put them on a 3-way with someone else. It's absolutely amazing to me, but it's true that people will listen to a third-party source that they don't know from Adam better than they will you, and they've known you for years and known that you're a truth teller, but they still will listen to that outside source. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that you're never a prophet in your own land. It's easier to be a prophet if you get out of town. You go someplace else and people will listen to you more. I had almost nobody in my immediate family with Manatech for years and years. I didn't have real close friends involved in Manatech for years and years. After I'd been involved for a while and I decided that's ridiculous and I started making a valiant effort, then I was able to get many of those people to listen. But for a long time, if I would have been looking for success with my closest friends and relatives, that would not occur. I became a presidential before I ever had any of my close friends or relatives involved at all. To include my 3 kids. Even my 3 kids didn't pay attention to me. I was building a lazy river in my backyard where I live right now a number of years ago, and I remember being about halfway through with that lazy river's construction and had a whole bunch of workers in the backyard, and it was well underway. And my daughter, on a balcony of the home that was being built, said, "Dad, you're really doing this." And I said, "Really doing what?" And he said, "You're really building a lazy river." I said, "Yes. Haven't I always told you the truth?" And she said, "Nobody thought you were really going to build a lazy river in the backyard. No one builds a lazy river in their backyard." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry that people didn't think that I was accurate about that, but it was exactly what I intended to do. I had it in my mind many, many years before I ever started putting the plans together." The reason why I'm telling you that is because a lot of us that have been in this business for a long time, and a lot of us that are new, we're frustrated by the fact that we think certain people should have a very high level of respect for us, and we should have a lot of influence with them. And for some reason or another, it's just the opposite frequently. You'll have more luck if you go down to a local coffee shop and start a conversation with somebody and start telling them about Manatech than you will talking to somebody that's been in your life for a long time.
Mm. And so you're starting to tell us about the interview where you're describing your start as an entrepreneur at 6 years old.
At 6 years of age, I was at a donut shop early in the morning with my dad, and I kept asking questions of the owner. And my dad said, "Can't you tell that this gentleman is extremely busy? It's his peak time, and you're bothering him. You're annoying him." And he heard what my dad said, and he said, "It's quite the contrary. I am so impressed by this young man and the questions that he's asking." So what it amounts to is I'm realizing that I'm in my 50s, and here's a 6-year-old kid that gets what I'm doing. I don't see very many people that understand what I'm really doing. I'm a business owner. I am an entrepreneur, and he's so interested in that. He's so curious. I can tell that he's an entrepreneur wannabe. And I said, "Well, can you tell me what an entrepreneur is?" And he said, "An entrepreneur is someone that wants to be in business for themselves. They want to control their own destiny. They do not want to work long hours and work very diligently to make someone else very successful. They want to put those hours and time and effort and energy and initiative into something that benefits them and their family the most." So that's where I am. That's what I'm doing. And I have a feeling that's what you'll do with your life. And I said, "So how can I be an entrepreneur?" And he said, "You get your dad to bring you back here later today when I'm not so busy." And so I said, "Okay." And I asked my dad if he'd bring me back. He brought me back in a couple of hours. I sat down with this guy, and he said, "Do you know what consignment is?" And I said, "No, sir, I don't have any idea." And he said, "With consignment, I will give you my inventory without charging you anything. You can come in here and get as many donuts as you want and walk out the door without paying me anything. I'm going to consign them to you. I will know how many you leave with, because when you come back, I'm going to charge you for the ones that you sold. I'll take the ones back that you didn't sell. I'll put them back into my inventory. And I want you to sell them for more than what I'm going to charge you. I'm going to charge you a nickel for every donut that you sell. You charge whatever you want for donuts, and you're going to go to different houses and see if they want donuts." I said, "Can I do that tomorrow?" He said, "Sure." I said, "I'll be here tomorrow morning." And my dad allowed me to walk up to this shop and pick up 3 dozen donuts. I walked to doors, and all I had to do was open the box of these great smelling fresh donuts and say, "I'm here to see if you want any donuts delivered straight to your door front." And I didn't have a single no. I never had anybody tell me no. They smelled so good. They looked so good. And they sometimes wouldn't even ask me how much they cost. They would just tell me to tell them what I wanted, but I was selling them for 10 cents a donut. I was making twice what the donut shop was making. He was making a nickel, and he had to have the overhead. He had to have the shop. He had to have employees. He had to have the supplies. I was getting as much for the donut as he was, and all I was doing was delivering it. Wow. Occasionally, I would have somebody say, "Well, can't I get these donuts for just a nickel at the donut shop?" And I said, "Yes, that's true, but I brought the donut shop to you." And they would readily pay me the 10 cents for the donuts. My business became so good that I started taking particular orders. I knew who wanted donuts with sprinkles on them, who wanted chocolate covered donuts, who wanted donut holes, who wanted cinnamon donuts. And it got to where I wasn't selling it all. I just knew who I delivered what to on Tuesday morning, and who I delivered what to on Wednesday morning, and who I delivered. And it got so big that I had to start my first networking endeavor. And so I had some other young people that would do the delivery as well. And I gave them 2 cents for every donut that they sold. So I was still making 3 cents for every donut that they sold, and they were making 2 cents because I had put the business together. And then some of them said, hey, we've got other friends that want to do this too. Can I make something out of it? So I said, yes, I'll start giving you 3 cents for every donut that you and your group sell. And anybody that you recruit, you give them 2 cents for every donut they sell. So I had a network marketing business that was 3 levels when I was 6 years old. And I was able to teach how to counter an objection very quickly. The objection is always going to be price. It's almost always price in anything that you sell. And you have to have ways to countermand that. And I was going, but I'm bringing the donut shop to you. And people accepted that. That was a worthwhile countering of an objection. Well, I've taken that entrepreneurship throughout my life. I have never in my life not owned a business. I've always owned a business. By the time I was graduating from elementary, I was making more money than my dad. And I had 2 businesses then. I still had the donut distribution business, and I had a lawn mowing business. And I had multiple lawnmowers, and I rarely mowed a lawn myself. I just did the estimates, set up the work, and coordinated who was going to be mowing and edging that lawn. And so by the time I finished elementary, I was making more money than my father. And by the time I graduated from high school, I owned 27 lawnmowers. And most of my friends worked for me. Now, the reason why I'm telling you that is because I had an entrepreneur's attitude from a young age, and it has really done me well my whole life. But I've found that most people do not have an entrepreneur's attitude. Most people are educated, trained to what I call work for the man, to get a job, get an education. Richard Bliss Brooke has a book called The 4-Year Career. Richard Bliss Brooke does not have a college education, and he is a disadvocate of a college education. He thinks it's a waste of time and money for most people, and he tells people that. Now, I don't tell them that. I do have a college education. I believe in the college education, but my college education has not made me a rich man. What has made me a rich man is the businesses for myself. I have worked for other people. I have worked for Fortune 500 companies, and I have been a great employee. But I'm so glad that I had the experience just so that I can tell other people that most employers, a high percentage, maybe 99.9%, are going to pay you what they have to. They're not going to pay you what you're worth. They're not going to pay you what you deserve. They're going to pay you what they have to. And they're going to be very interested in your well-being because they want you to show up to work on a regular basis, and they want you to have a good attitude, but they are not putting money away for your kids' education. In many cases, most cases, it's just not the same attitude. I really learned that well in 1978 when I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and I had my boss come in and tell me that there was a particular employee that I needed to fire in the next couple of weeks. And that was my best employee. And I said, I've never had an employee that had a better attitude than this person. On what grounds am I going to fire them? And they said, build a case. I said, you can't tell me why you're wanting this person fired? He said, no, and I don't have to. I'm just telling you, build a case and fire that person. And I was making a very good income. I went home and discussed it with my wife. And I told my wife that I was going to breach my own personal integrity, and I was going to find a reason to fire this lady. I did not want to lose my very high-paying job. And I made an effort. I called her at 10:30 at night and told her she needed to be on an airplane at 7 o'clock the next morning to fly to another city and to do something, thinking that she would be insubordinate, say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to honor your request at 10:30 at night. And she had such a good attitude. She said, if you think it's that important, it must be important, so I will be there. I could not get her to do something wrong. And in 2 weeks, my boss flew in and fired me. you didn't fire that person. And fired me and brought that person in and fired them for no reason whatsoever. And a very long story that I'm not going to tell at this time, and very nefarious on the part of a number of different people, but I was the best employee that company had. They had an award that they gave to people that were top managers, and in the previous 13 months, I had gotten that award 11 of the 13 times. And then they fired me just because I couldn't come up with a case. So I think that the workaday world is just filled with stories like that. And so I'm a big time advocate of a 4-year career, but not that you don't get a college degree. I still think it's good to go to college, but I don't think that college in most cases is going to make you very successful as an entrepreneur. And I really bring home in that interview the importance of being an entrepreneur and the value of being an entrepreneur. And since I am discussing that, and I know I'm giving too long answers, I will tell you a couple of, other things about the advantages of having your own business, since we're talking about it. The biggest is tax advantages. I don't care what country you're in, the laws are all skewed in favor of the businessman. They're all skewed in favor of the person that is the entrepreneur, the one that is willing to establish their own business and put other people to work and make other things happen in the community. In America, the tax rate for a person like me that's an entrepreneur is about 1/2 what it is for other people that are making the same kind of income. So when I can write off so many things. I mean, this computer that I'm looking at right now and doing this Zoom call cost the taxpayer. It didn't cost me anything. This is something I would have had a computer. Even if I didn't have my own business, I would have had this computer. But by being in business for myself, I pay much less for that computer because it can be a write-off. There's so many things about my life that are a write-off because I can equate them to, and I can attribute them to being in business. So one of the things I'm telling all of your listeners that are watching right now and be watching on a recording later, it's so wise to be in business for yourself. Even if you don't want to be, even if you have another job and you're going to stay in that job and you love what you're doing, get a business on the side because you can use it as such a great tax advantage. When people say, oh, I can't afford your product. Yes, you can. I can show you how to save in taxes more than what my product costs. If you're buying a couple of $100s a month in my product that's just going to make you healthier, I'll show you how you can save over $200 a month in just taxes off of the mileage in your vehicle, the supplies that you buy, the dinners that you eat out, the people that you talk to. Anytime I'm out to dinner, I make sure that I discuss business with somebody, even if it's my wait staff. And I make sure that that is a business expense. And it is a business expense. Many people in my organization are wait staff. I always talk to them. Of course, I have developed an attitude of talking to just about everybody. But at any rate, one of the big points that I love talking about on a call like this, which is pretty open, is how valuable it is to be an entrepreneur and to conduct your life for yourself. If you can make the business successful enough that it covers all expenses, you truly own your life. You can stay in bed until you wake up every day. You don't have to get out of bed before you're ready to wake up. You know, I stay in bed every day until I'm through sleeping. Very few people can do that. I don't schedule things in the morning as a rule. It's your morning right now, but it's my evening. Today, I didn't wake up until 10 o'clock in the morning. I had no idea I was going to sleep until 10 o'clock in the morning. I went to bed at about 10 o'clock at night. For some reason or other, my body needed 12 hours of sleep. And I think that's another reason why I'm so healthy, because I own my own life and I don't have to listen to an alarm clock. I love to take that alarm clock away from people. I love to give them freedom. And the only way you can really be free is to own your own business. Somebody just put on their "Go Ray," and somebody's telling me I'm incredible. And this, I like watching all of these comments, man. It's fantastic.
It's good, isn't it? It's real-time feedback. So, Ray, for someone listening today that doesn't really identify with having that entrepreneur mindset or spirit from 6 or even at 40, is it something you can develop, or what would you recommend?
Yes, you definitely can develop an attitude of entrepreneurship. It becomes so easy to want to be an entrepreneur when you just get a little taste of freedom. When you're in a position where you don't have to beg somebody for what week you go on vacation or what 2 weeks you go on vacation. I haven't done that in the last 30 years. I haven't had to ask anybody which week or 2 weeks I get to go on vacation. I schedule it, and then I schedule around it. It's my prerogative. It's not somebody else's prerogative. Just little things like that start happening with people that are in business for themselves, and they start realizing how valuable freedom is. I would venture to say that at least 50% of all workers will go to work this coming Monday morning and will report to somebody that they wonder, how in the world did this person get in a position above me? How did I end up having to work for this person? They're not as bright as I am. They're not as hardworking as I am. They're not as creative, but they're my boss. And once a year, I'm going to have to sit across the table from them and have them tell me my weaknesses. They're going to rate me. But when you can get away from that, and you get away from not having to rate other people. I remember when I had to have people that sat across the table from me, and I had to tell them the things that I thought that they ought to improve in their jobs, and they were my employee. In network marketing, you're a CEO and everybody underneath you is a CEO. And you're not directing anybody. You're suggesting things. And if they do it, that's their prerogative. And if they don't, that's their prerogative. It's their freedom. A little bit of success begets more success. A little bit of freedom begets more freedom. The best way to grow in anything is to have a little bit of the productivity of that effort. So yes, a person can definitely become an entrepreneur. Here's a way I think everybody, whether they've been in this business for a long time or they're new, can show themselves right away how valuable it is to own your own life and have your own business. We have a program that is called AO Qualified. I call it the POD program, where if you have 5 customers buying $100 worth of product a month or more in an automatic order, you make an extra $75. If you have signed up 2 associates that have the same thing, you get another $300. Well, for the downline compensation, it's an income of $500. So you can make $500 US for just $1,500 in US business per month. That's 33.33% commission. A person that's been doing this for a long time can do that. A person that's brand new can do that. What's $500 mean? $500 in the US, and I would suspect that it's close in Australia, can avert more than half of all personal bankruptcies. $500 a month can avert probably more than half of all home repossessions. I know it's true in the US. $500 a month is a lot. Well, if a person can see that they can put an effort forth that makes $500 a month, and they realize that, well, gosh, why can't I keep this going? Why can't I teach other people how to do the same thing? If I teach those 2 people that are associates that got their 5 customers each and are making 75 to also make their 500, then that's increasing my volume. So yes, I think entrepreneurship is something that can be learned. It can be developed. I honestly like to say, I don't even care if you don't want to. I just think you're missing the boat if you don't. If you don't become an entrepreneur anywhere in the world, then you're never, ever going to have true freedom. You're never really going to own your own life. You're going to be an indentured servant. You're truly a slave. It's like slavery to me, that you have to be someplace at a certain time and you have to be there a certain number of days and you have to do a certain, if they tell you have to work overtime, you do. And if they tell you you have to work over that, I don't like that. And I don't like that people accept that. I extracted myself from that a number of years ago, and I love being capable of showing people how they can extract themselves from it. Now, since I said that, let me ask the next question, because it goes along with this. So here's your question, Sharon. Okay, so you've convinced me. I'm supposed to develop this network marketing stuff, and it's new to me, and I'm afraid of it, and I'm concerned that I can't do it, and I don't have any confidence in myself. It's foreign field. Here's what you do. You make presentations to people that you know with your upline. You do not do it by yourself. You demand that upline work with you. If the upline won't work with you, you tell that person that I don't want you to be my upline. I want to find another upline that will do calls with me, at least until I have my first two people. When you have two people, and I suggest that you try to make those two people that you think are people that have some chutzpah, they have some pizzazz about them, they have some fire in their soul, they have some initiative, they have some drive. They're the kind of people that want life to be bigger and better than what everybody else is willing to accept. Two people. A lot of people tell me, well, I don't know anybody. Listen, if you don't know two people, you need to forget about network marketing. You need to forget about anything else until you learn how to get close to somebody. You need to join a club, or you need to join an organization. You need to go to church. You need to be part of the Rotary Club. You need to do something. Everybody knows two people. In fact, I think everybody should know at least a half a dozen people closely. Otherwise, when you die, your mate's going to have to hire pallbearers. You should at least know 6 people, know well enough that they could be interested in being tapped for that. But 2 is the magic number in this business, 2 people. What do you do next? The same thing. Those 2 people now get their 2 people. In this business, if you get 2 people who get 2 people, who get 2 people, who get 2 people, just 6 levels deep, you're making a full-time supported income. 2 people who get 2 people, 6 levels deep. If you happen to have taught that pod program, and all of those people also have 5 customers, then your income is well over 6-figure income per year. Just getting 2 people. Well, I have people say, well, I've been in this business for 8 months, and I don't have more than 15 people in my downline. Well, say, then you haven't taught the concept of 2 by 2 by 2. Everybody must have 2. You get 2, and then you make sure that 2 have 2. And then you make sure that 4 has 2. And then you make sure that 8 has 2. And then you make sure that 16 has 2. You don't have to go out and get the whole world. You don't have to know a ton of people. You need to have 2 to get 2. In our company, you can go all the way to silver presidential just by developing 2 legs. At one point in there, you have to have a 3rd leg, but the 3rd leg only has to have $100 worth of business. But if you just develop 2 legs, I think it's very smart in the beginning. If you have 4 people, put those 3rd and 4th people underneath the first 2 people that you got. Help everybody develop. Just develop 2 legs and make sure that everybody works with their people for at least 2 levels. Everybody should work with the people they bring in. If you're out there developing this business and you bring somebody in this business, I think that you owe yourself to them until they have 2 people that have got some chutzpah. Now, let's say you get 2 people and one of them has some initiative and the other one doesn't. Then you don't have 2 people yet. You still do get somebody underneath that person that's not doing it. Go ahead and put a person underneath them even, but make sure that you have 2 people and 2 legs that have some desire to make something happen. And then you just continue that same process. If you get 2 people who really want their lives to be better in the first week, and everybody does that, in 6 weeks, you're making $100,000 a year. Everybody's, oh, that's impossible. No, it's not. It has happened over and over again in Manatech. We've had people in 6 weeks that were making that kind of income. And it's because they don't just get anybody, they get 2 people that have got some drive, that have got some energy, that have got some, I say, desire to have a life bigger and better than what everybody else accepts. Most people are willing to accept, I have a job, I'm working 8 hours every day, I get to drive a boring trip to work, trying to put my makeup on and drink my coffee. When I get there, I find out that I'm 5 minutes late and somebody gives me a hard time about it, starts my day off wrong. And then I go over all the chores that I have for that day. And at about 11 o'clock, I realize I've got everything done, but I have to sit there and make up something now till the end of the day or stare at my computer or something. That is so common in the workforce. I don't ever get to that point. I can just keep working and I can always think of something that's a benefit to mankind. And I don't have to make myself make up something. So the 2 by 2 by 2 is very valuable for building this business. I guarantee you there's people on this call right now, and I say this all the time. You've been doing this business a long time. And if you look at your downline, you do not have 2 at your first level, 4 at your second level, 8 at your third level, 16 at your, you don't have that. Fill those gaps. Look at your organization and fill those gaps. Okay, I'll let you ask something.
Excellent advice. So I think, Ray, that our industry, our profession has the best structure and format to develop entrepreneurs out of everyday people that have a dream, that want to help people for whatever reason, whether it's they want to help people or they want to change a problem in their life or other people's life.
I love this industry.
Yeah, it's the best training ground, isn't it? So that you don't even, most people are too scared to dream and they've never been supported in that dream, and they can get it back through our profession.
I have a friend that I helped develop a network marketing business, and he's making a very supportive full-time income with Manitech, but he loves the restaurant business. So about 1.5 years ago, he convinced me to invest in a restaurant with him. And we ultimately found a franchise out of Tennessee, and we opened up this really nice restaurant. We built it from the ground up. It's a high-class place, great food. And I spent $994,000 to build that restaurant. That was my investment. And I'm currently making $1,200 a month off of $994,000 investment.
Wow.
You can get involved in Manitech for considerably less than that and easily make $1,200 a month and to keep it growing. I think I told in the interview, I tell everybody, I've made $66 million in this industry. My income with Manitech has been published for a number of years because of me being on the board, and my income is well over $2 million US per year. My investment was less than $1,000. So less than $1,000 to make 50 grand a week, $994,000 to make $1,200 a month. Conventional businesses can be so expensive, and they don't have anywhere near the opportunity. They have a risk-reward ratio that is very tough. This risk-reward ratio is, of course, that can be a toughie too. I love this comment. Take a breath, Ray. Take a break. Kate thinks I'm so excited that I'm not breathing enough.
No, she's saying you're a breath of fresh air.
I'm a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and we do have a question there. So when you're talking to someone that you're engaging with in regards to our business, how much do you tell them before you engage support, like a 3-way or a meeting with your coach or support person?
Yeah, I think it's very important that you use your upline with people that have some interest. So I do think it's your responsibility to what I call grease the skids. Give them enough information that they're interested. They're interested in one of 3 things. They're interested in the product, or they're interested in the business opportunity, or they're interested in both. So I do think that you should talk to a person. Don't bring a person that's just green as can be, doesn't have any idea about anything, to an upline. An upline should be able to count on you for establishing the appointment and giving them basic information. But when it gets to the information that's going to bring that person to a close, I don't think you should try to do that. I think you should put that in the hands of your upline. And what that does is manifold. First of all, you're putting someone much more experienced in that position. And you're also putting yourself in a position that if the prospect says no, you don't take it personally. You're not the one that got the no. It's your upline that got the no. And your upline can handle the no's. I think that one of the biggest reasons why people quit is because of the rejection they get initially when they shouldn't even be getting any rejection. The rejection should be going to their upline. And it's good for you to see that people do say no. No's are okay. On the interview, you're going to find that me and the interviewer both say that no's are fantastic. No's are your best prospects for the future. Almost everybody that anybody has ever brought into this business has said no initially. So who are your best prospects? Your no's. As long as you don't burn your bridges behind you, as long as you didn't counter an objection in a nasty way, as long as you didn't make the experience a bad experience for them. If you don't do that, if it's a pleasant experience for everybody, you walk away from a no, and it's very common that they call you back in a month or so and say, hey, are you still doing that Manatech stuff? And you say, yes, I am. What they're really saying is, I'd like to hear it again. Or you can call them back and say, hey, I've got a piece of information that I didn't have before. I'd like to treat you to a cup of coffee somewhere some afternoon this week and go over it. And usually it wasn't a bad experience before, then they'll meet with you again. Did that answer the question? I'm not hearing you, Sharon.
Sorry, that was me because I see kids, grandchildren going in your background, and I've got kids going back and forth in mine. So what I was wondering, yeah, well, they're not right now, but everyone's there. Oh, there's Diana.
It's Diana?
No, they're just going around the corner up there. No.
I'll get some of the family to come say hi. This happens to be Kevin's birthday.
Oh.
So there are 20 people here for a birthday party.
Aw. We should be saying happy birthday to you.
Yeah, you know, I'll go get Kevin.
No, I'm not singing. No, we'll get Dad on to do the singing. So, Ray, starting a brand new, what about for the people that say yes? What's the best and most successful way to get people started?
Okay, if a person says yes, I tell them that I belong to them. I want you to use me. I want you to know that it is not as easy to get people to say yes like you did as you might think. In fact, a lot of times I can use them as an example and say, you know, you told me no 3 times before you finally said yes. So I would just as soon that you set the appointments with people, you tell them a little bit of information, and then let me do it. Let me work with those people. And I'm either going to get a yes or a no, and it doesn't matter. We're going to follow back up with them. If they say yes, then we're going to say what I'm saying to you now, that I belong to you. If they say no, then we're going to get more information back to them later on. If a person does say yes, I want to give them some things to do that I think would be of benefit. Okay, here's a couple of things that I think a lot of people should do right now, whether you've been involved for a while or you're new. You should read my book, Get a Grip. I've been in this business for 40 years. I have made $66 million. I am an expert at this business. Read that book, Get a Grip. Read it a couple of times. Also listen to the interview. The interview that you posted the link on earlier of Richard Brooks interviewing me. Watch that interview. I guarantee you will get some wisdom out of it. You'll get some pearls out of it. There's some other things that I recommend to new people. I love Eric Worre's book because it lends a high level of credibility to our industry of network marketing. There's a whole bunch of things. I try not to inundate them. I don't want to give them a ton of things. I'll usually give a new person a book to watch, a conference call to be on. I think that you should make sure that people that are new, especially, are on this conference call that you're doing on a regular basis. There's always going to be new people, new perspectives, new information that will be of value to them. So it's just like anything. You have to learn stuff. I have a brother-in-law that's a heart surgeon. Did he have to go to school for that? Yes. Did he have to go to school for a long time? Yes. Did they try to teach him everything the first week? No. That's the reason why it's a long time, because they teach step by step different things in order for him to be a heart surgeon. Imagine that he decided he wanted to be a heart surgeon, but he didn't want to get that education. And he has a plaque outside of his office that has his name and says, heart surgery, untrained. You know, who would want to go to that guy? Well, there would be some, because it would be a whole lot cheaper. You know, but most people would like to have somebody that's trained, that knows a few things. So, and incidentally, my brother-in-law doesn't make anywhere near as much money as I do. So is it smart for me to have trained myself? Yes. I'm still learning. I learn all the time. I want to be a learner forever, till the day I die. I still want to be learning. I think it builds your mind. I think it's great for your own psyche to be picking up new information all the time. My grandkids know that I love new facts. So I guarantee you tonight, all 7 of my grandkids will be with me. And every one of them will have some piece of information that they want to tell me that they don't think I know. And chances are good I don't. And I love it. I love that. I love them giving me that. But not only am I learning new things, I'm teaching them the value of always gathering new information. So,
I'm going to have to introduce.
You have a plan. I said with a person, make sure you have a plan to give them.
Yeah, a step by step. And Manatech's got some, and different teams have one. So, you know, if you have concerns about that, reach out and we can connect you somewhere to make sure that. And we've got Mana Life now. We've got Mana Motion. There's Mana, and what's the Manatech Plus app. So you connect with what resonates for you. And if you don't have something, we'll point you in the right direction. I was just going to say that I'm going to have to introduce my son to you. I'll get him to watch this, because at 6, he interviews the hairdresser, how she makes money, how much does she make, and what's her expenses. And
that's an entrepreneur in the making.
Yeah, and everywhere we go, he does that. He's now 8, so I'll make sure he gets to see this.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And so, Ray, I wanted to talk, because it's sometimes kind of the elephant in the room. Now, this probably, listening to your story, never happens to you. But for people that run into road bumps or feel hopeless or feel like they're not going to make it or have a loss of self-belief, what do you recommend for people? You know, I think everybody, maybe except you, has that experience. Most successful people do. And there's success strategies to get beyond that, because it's not the truth.
I tell people that we program ourselves. We program ourselves to be capable or incapable. There are a couple of silly cliches that have been out there for years that are accurate. If you think you can, you usually can. If you think you can't, you're right. It's just in your mind. But I tell people, even though that is so, I want you to know that if you lack confidence, and I think you do right now, that's what the problem is. You lack confidence. You don't think you can. Then don't rely on yours. Yours obviously is inadequate. Rely on mine. I've got enough for both of us. I have plenty of confidence. All you have to do is get your contacts together with me. And if you're even having a difficult time getting the contacts together, use me in that regard also. Don't rely on your confidence, and do not feel guilty that you lack confidence. I can't think of many things that I've ever done in life that I didn't lack confidence in the beginning. I remember when I was learning how to snow ski, and I didn't even think I could get out of the lift chair at the top, you know, and some of the crashes that I had were just absolutely ridiculous. And I could have said, well, obviously, I'm not going to be able to do this. All I had to do is look around and see all the people that were. So they're doing it. I can too. I just have to stick with it until I have my own capabilities, until I have my own confidence. I was a swimmer and diver in high school and college. And because of that, I kept it up for a long time. So while I was raising my kids, we would teach them how to do different dives. And I would take them to a place that had a real good 1 meter springboard and a 3 meter springboard. And I would show them how to do different things. And I would make sure that I got them to a point before they tried certain things that they had a pretty good chance of having some success, but not always. And I remember my son Ryan once saying, "Dad, what is the worst thing that can happen to me?" I says, "The worst thing that's going to happen to you is that you're going to get smacked in the face a little bit. You're going to have a little bit of hurt. It's not going to kill you. I'm not going to tell you to do something that would take your life. You might get hurt. That's the worst thing that could happen to you." And he said, "So what's the next worst thing?" And I said, "A lot of times the next worst thing is more than the worst thing to most people. Somebody's going to witness it. You're going to be embarrassed." I said, "That's the same thing with making sales or making presentations. The reason why we feel bad is because we feel like we're making fools of ourselves. We feel like we're being witnessed, stepping all over ourselves." So you have to understand that mistakes are okay. You must understand. You've got to get across your mind. People do not learn anything ever in life if they don't understand that mistakes are acceptable. We just learn from them. My best example for that is a basketball player. Can you imagine a great basketball player that never commits a foul? No, you're not ever going to have a great basketball player. Most great basketball players will get so close to fouling out of every game. They're going to make enough mistakes that if they made one more, they're kicked out of the game. They even take advantage of, and they intentionally make some mistakes, because those mistakes do get them to a level of having progress, having victory. So you have to teach people not to be embarrassed, not to feel like you're a fool, not to be concerned about mistakes. Mistakes are acceptable. And I like to keep those from happening as much as possible with new people by letting me make the mistakes. Watch me make the mistakes. And at the end of the presentation, especially if it went badly, I can say, "I didn't do that very well, did I?" And they said, "No, you didn't." And I said, "I think that's a teaching lesson. I'm almost glad that happened. I wanted you to see that a guy making over $2 million a year can mess it up too. Mistakes are acceptable. I mean, I'm not going to let this mess up my confidence by any stretch. No's are acceptable. Mistakes are acceptable. You have to be happy with who you are, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, in order to become better and better."
That's worth millions, that just statement there. That's, if anybody can take that away, that's $1 million coaching moment.
Anytime anybody is in a position where they're thinking about quitting, then I always tell them, "Do you think that anybody in this business has been successful?" "Oh, yeah, I see all kinds of people have been successful." "So why do you think that you're not capable of being one of them? Don't you know that there was a time in their life that they were right where you are right now? What's the difference between them and you?" They ultimately decide, "Well, I'm not quitting." So you just have to say, "I'm not going to quit." There have been too many precedents set. There have been too many people that have been successful. How silly would it be for me to say, when I've witnessed so much other success, for me to quit? I think that one of the reasons why this industry has such a bad reputation is because so many people quit before they had an opportunity to be successful. They just didn't stick with it long enough. I'm a sticker. I've got a level of loyalty and stick-to-itiveness that I'm going to make sure I succeed at anything I do.
Ah, that's such a breath. Another, I'm going to say, breath of fresh air. I'm going to be a slightly selfish here for a sec, but that same, I think there's such generational impacts as well on our profession. You know, it's obvious in your family, but even with me, you know, that same 6-year-old, he went to a Manatech conference at the Sheraton Mirage, which is like a 6-star hotel when he was about 3. And on the way home, and it had sort of like a lazy river selection of pools and everything. And like their eyes, there are 3 kids, their eyes are like this big. They're going, wow. On the way home, almost asleep, he goes, I'm going to live in hotels. And then that's progressed over the last few years. Then he's going to, you know, Mom, I'm going to own a hotel. And now he wants to travel internationally, so he's going to own all kinds of hotels in every country. So yeah, I know. He's just such a big thinker. It's gorgeous. So, Ray,
Yeah. People that dream big
yeah,
make big dreams occur.
yeah, yeah. So we've got to foster that in our children, everybody.
I came from a family with little, and they were always saying, Ray's always dreaming. He's always the big dreamer. But
Yeah.
that family today will say, Ray made every dream come true and then some.
Hmm. So,
And in the
Ray,
process, I've made many come true for them.
yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine what a blessing it is for everybody. So, Ray, what's in your heart to leave people with today who are partnering with Manatech? Where are we going in the next 5 years?
I believe that Manatech should be $1 billion a year company or more already. We've had some aberrations that kept that from happening, but we're well on our way to that being back on track and occurring again. So this company is going to be around for a long time. I have a couple of nephews and nieces that are visiting here right now. And one of them said earlier tonight, is Manatech going to always be? And I said, yes, I believe that Manatech will outlive me. I think there'll be a day that I pass, but Manatech will still be here and be going. And I said, chances are very good because your dad is such an entrepreneur in this business. His David, that's married to my wife's sister, said, you'll probably end up being a Manatech yourself. There's a chance that Manatech will outlive you. So Manatech is a legacy company. Manatech is a company that has a ridiculously fantastic future ahead of it. And the people that stick with it and run with it have got a great future as well. The thing I would like to leave with people, though, is one of my biggest points I'm using right now. I did also on the last call with you, and I do on a lot of calls. Make sure all of your people are familiar with that next leader level report. Make sure that everybody is pulling that next leader level report up at least several times a month, and that you're always working towards what your next leader level is, and that you know what the subordinate leaders beneath you need in order to reach theirs. I am seeing so much success all across Manatech, and in most cases, it's because everybody there has gotten real involved in ranking up. Everybody knows exactly what they need to be at their next leader level, and they know the same thing for a number of people beneath them. And everybody is patting each other on the back for doing it. And so I think that's the one point I would like to leave with your organization, all of whom are interested in success in this business, is make sure you're really using that next leader level report for you and the people beneath you.
Ray, thank you so very much. We'll let you get to Kevin's birthday party. Wish him a big happy birthday. Thank him for sharing you with us today. And, you know,
he's got 19 other relatives out there that are treating him like a king. He is doing. He is a hero in his family. He's really a Pied Piper type. When we get the young ones around, they just flock to him for some reason or another. The young ones just want his attention so much, and he loves it. So
I reckon he might get that from you.
I hope he's gotten a lot of things from me. I gave him a birthday card today, but I bought it today and wrote it up, and it's got a little 3-year-old boy on the front of it wearing cowboy boots and a big cowboy hat, and he's got a big pout on his face, and I said in the card, I can remember how much you at this age loved to dress up, how you loved in particular cowboy stuff, especially your cowboy boots. And I said, and that pout on this kid's face is so similar to some that I witnessed from you. I said, there were many times in your life that people didn't think things were possible, and what you've done the most is to prove to everybody that all things are possible. And neat guy.
Ray, you're in such a sweet spot of being the benevolent coach. We're very blessed by your coaching and your wisdom. So grateful. And with your permission, I've had a couple questions about the lazy river. Are you okay if I pass on some photos on the Facebook page? Okay.
Sure.
Fantastic.
I have a short video of the
Okay.
lazy river that's real good and has several grandkids riding inner tubes on it. I'll send that to you in just a minute.
Okay, fantastic. Ray, have a great evening. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend. Put this into action. See you next week. Bye, everyone.
Fantastic Saturday.
Love you too, Ray. See ya.